Hi, welcome to another edition of Top of the Pops. Prisoners, here's Tonight and the Drummer Man.
The drummer man told me he was so in love. He was so in love with the majorette who used to lead the band.
In early 1978, a young band from Southend burst onto the music scene with a top 20 hit called Drummer Man. Right from the start, they were tipped for the big time.
Who used to lead the band. Whoa, the drummer man told me he was so in love. He was so in love with
Terrific, that's Tonight and the Drummer Man. Good? You bet it's good.
And good they were. They had a clear, bright sound, loads of energy, they had great voices, and they could play. The music press went bananas. But there's a very thin line between a life of fame and fortune and obscurity.
They had the power and the guts of the rock thing, but they had the pop aspect. They had great sort of hum-along songs that everyone, when you went to see them, you came away humming them. And it was great to see a band in that league, especially a local band. They were fantastic.
Obviously, when you're at that age, you know, and you love your music, and one of your mates is playing on top of the Pops and that, it's really exciting, you know, fantastic. It's all I could talk about most of the time, you know. I buy every paper they was in and read all about them.
At that time, the music scene here in Southend was buzzing. There were the Kurzel Flyers, Eddie and the Hot Rods, and the now legendary Dr. Feelgood, all making it into the charts. And tonight, we're determined to join them.
But just roll on by.
So guys, this is where it all began.
I think we cut our teeth here, and when we started doing the huge gigs, thousands of people, it was nothing compared to what we went through here.
We used to play the set twice round, if you remember, because, we had about 14, 18 songs, but they were so fast, played so fast that we had to fill up the hour. And when Drummer Man became a hit, they would have heard that possibly 4 times during the space of an hour. I remember coming off stage and meeting this guy and saying, I think you've got loads of singles there. Yeah. We want to sign you. You know, and we just come off stage where we had things thrown at us, cables in a knot, you know, and then suddenly it was like a kind of your life changing overnight almost.
And that was that. Within a few months of their first performance at the Alex, Tonight had signed on the dotted line, and the big time was just around the corner.
Tonight's the night for Tonight, and a brand new single they come from Southend called The Drummer Man.
Barely a month later, they were on top of the Pops.
The drummer man told me he was so in love. He was so in love with the majorette who used to lead the band.
It had all happened so fast, their first single, Drummer Man, hadn't even been released, and they bought their clothes from Oxfam.
He ran a fan just to hold a hand.
I can remember, for as long as I can remember, from a kid I wanted to be the singer on Top of the Pops. You know, because when I was a kid, the singer on Top of the Pops was Mick Jagger or John Lennon or then Rod Stewart or David Bowie. So when I eventually turned up and was the singer on Top of the Pops, it was a culmination of a childhood dream for me. 14 million people watched that show, and the following day I remember coming out of a department store in Southend and I was mobbed. This policeman had to come and rescue me. So my life changed overnight, really.
Following their appearance, the single of Drummer Man was rushed out, and the band sold nearly 230,000 copies, an incredible achievement which took them to number 14 in the charts. And then things just went mad. This is incredible. We've got Blue Jeans, Looking, what have we got here? Jackie.
Yeah, it's all there.
These were the big magazines of the time, and you are in absolutely every one of them.
We had a huge teen audience, and these magazines were how you got to the teen market in those days. It was pre-smash hits, so yeah, it's fantastic.
So what were the fans like?
They were mad. We used to camp in the front garden, overnight. My mum would wake up, there'd be a tent and sleeping bags in our front garden. It was crazy. Yeah. And all the people we knocked around with. I mean, we were in the studio with the Sex Pistols, weren't we, and the Clash, and we toured with all big bands that were happening at the time, the Jam, the Boomtown Rats.
I remember Joe Jackson being in the audience because he was so tall, and like, he was on when he was doing his first album, and that was like, well, you know, they're actually checking us out as well while we're playing.
I love all these haircuts.
Yeah. Some of them defy gravity.
They do, don't they?
How much did we spend on haircuts? Oh, 376 quid. That's quite a lot there, actually.
You could get a decent car in those days for that kind of money.
And now that their drummer man has sorted out his love affair, it's nice to see Tonight hovering just outside the top 30 this week with their new single called Money, That's Your Problem.
But money was just one of Tonight's problems. Their second single didn't enjoy the success of Drummer Man, and changes in the structure of their record company meant their album was never released. Tonight, the overnight success fell through the cracks and disappeared.
The main regret is not getting the album now, is the main one, because that's a good power pop album. It's a very good document of the times, and for 30 years in the back of our minds, that's been like, oh, I wish we could have got it out, you know.
And I think this definitely should go on the album because it's got all the power poppy bits and pieces. We've got the...
But now, 30 years on, they're finally hoping to finish and release the album they last worked on in 1978. So why is it so important to you that after 30 years, this album is finally released?
Well, we were the first UK band to have a hit with something that was called power pop. And it might sound a bit grand, but we had lots of unreleased tracks, and we think it's time to get them released.
They deserve to be released as songs.
Yeah.
So who would be a modern day equivalent of Tonight?
Probably the Kaiser Chiefs, people like that. Maybe American version of the Killers.
Killers are, you know, they're very melodic tracks, but they've got a very, hard sound.
It's all been very exciting. This is the first time the band have played together in 30 years.
Because they never brought the album out, I'd love to see them do it live on tour, and it'd be great.
They say you should never go back, leave the past in the past. But for these guys, it's all about unfinished business.
Hold on me, make real watch you, constantly, come out of climb of reality. You gotta hold on me, TV, hold on me.
So the next time you're listening to one of today's top bands like the Kaiser Chiefs or The Feeling, remember it might have all started with Tonight.